Hello ladies and gentlemen, I believe that now we have just caught lights out, and now we have got green flags to go. The horse now makes a huge getaway. JR lock and load there, makes a move up on Bobby there to take second place. What an absolute unbelievable move there now. Got Unique now making up spaces. We have got Nicky now keeping it all nice and clean. We have got Champ who I believe had to start from the pit lane, and unfortunately, but we got Dark Ninja then holding his own there, and then Uber and Ryan's foot now just holding on the back of a small pack. Alright, Turkle is actually making a space up there now in the opening corners. Now, as we focus back on the front, Thorsten now he's going to just try and focus to get the boot hard down now on this long back straight. Whilst Jerry Lock and Load will have a smile ear to ear on his face now after getting the better of Bobby then now on the first corners. We have got as JR gets a little bit wide then now coming out at the end of that corner, but he's going to have as the camera pans about the now, I think he's going to have Bobby all over the back of that Mercedes AMG. Aussie wheels on not too far behind with Unicorn not further back there either, but once again focusing now up top north from lights out, just got the boot away, and he has been on an absolute roll. We can only see now how the tires last, how the rain proceeds. Oh, I believe we had enough. Life blade now, Bobby now has fallen right down, has fallen right back down. He's now gone behind Aussie Wheels and behind Unigac. Must have been some form of issue that are going around. Just about to come up there to obviously the Brampton Straight as they all come up there towards Druids. Hard on the brakes, almost a complete 180 degrees hairpin turn. One of the most difficult corners there to get right on any race circuit. Chris Bizik I believe has fallen back there in the back there a couple of spaces. Uber has made up a few spaces. Dark Ninja and Cole, and what I must say now is actually a very beautiful looking Aston Martin. He has held out so far and actually made up a couple of spaces so far, I believe. Once again, now we're just going to focus back up at the field, and the big mover there now into turn one now has to be JR Lock and Load. He made a phenomenal move. He blinked first. Before light blade down at the back as the camera pans around again. He's all over the back of Unicorn and that Lexus again. He is absolutely hassling him outside on chips. That is an absolute amazing feat there to keep the nose right on the that Lexus. They go side by side there. The back straight coming up there towards the Brampton Straight, and he gets the move done even before the corner. That just goes to show you the absolute power advantage there. This Bentley seems to have it in the straights. Lexus didn't seem to have much in form as Unicorn takes a look up the inside, but obviously advises better than now. That would even been a brave move in the dry, let alone even in the wet. As we've just seen there now, Chris Billick I believe has just gone past Uber there now, which is another one of the movers, and Lions Foot there now has gotten back past a alright Turkish there now, driving that, as we said, black, green and pink Honda NSX, which is a unique colour combination to say the least. Who we're going to focus on now is the man now who unfortunately had to miss now his pretty much home Grand Prix last week now, being Mr. Silverstone himself at NRP. Absolute gentleman now of a man, and he is always there looking at just sitting down and have a bit of fun racing, no dramas, just fun, just clean sim racing. He seems to be getting hassled now by Dark Ninja now. Have we had somebody off to know where is Uniclark? He seems to be falling back behind. Uniclark, I don't see any damage on the car, but he has fallen from grace it seems. And we've actually we've had Light Blade get back ahead of Aussie Wheels. Just as I try and focus on someone now, everything seems to happen. We've had Uniclark fall from grace, just gets back past Uber there now. At Sterling's then doing very well. There's a bit of a group then forming up here towards the end as they take that curve. Named after it there now. They're going to head down straight up there towards Comic Hill. We're going to shoot back down to the front very quickly there, just as we view light blade now, who seems to have recovered now from whatever early mistake now that we do a P2 have missed, just as he goes through the Green Hill bend up through Cooper's, and he's going to try and take 30s now and get on the move on to catch that Mercedes AMG now that has caught him then on the first. To be fair, our man in the lead, Mr. Germany himself, Thorsten Burkhardt, now he hasn't been able to push away from JR as much as he would have liked to. The gap has roughly stayed between 1 and 2 seconds anyway, currently sitting now at 1.7 after the first sector. So there hasn't been the gains that are made perhaps now that Thorsten would have liked. JR is going to be very, very happy now indeed with this pace now that he's currently showing a late blade then a further 3 seconds back. Aussie was a further 10 seconds back. And I believe now that we've had a couple of further changes now. Dark Ninja seems to have actually made up a incredible amount of places now. He has managed to get that Aston Martin singing. We were all involved in a community race now where I believe Dark Ninja took his first public lobby win and all. So he has been practicing and getting that Aston Martin into an absolute sweet spot. And to be honest with you, that car certainly does look on rails. I'm going to focus back to the Unitrack, who's choking it out and out with Mr. Silverstone being NRP in that Wolf liveried Nissan GT3. Unitrack now is going to be a man on a mission to try and gain back the places then out that he appears to have lost, you know. So it is going to be a huge feat then now to make it back anyway to at least the top 5. Chris Pizzuk then now, a man that we also haven't focused on now, seems to have made up a lot of time on Dark Ninja then are going through the Green Hill bend. It just seems to be closing. Uni Clark also getting right up the trough of him then now going to his 30s, heading down the long back straight now of Pilgrim's Drop. They're now going to take probably the most difficult corner that now I think I've ever taken now in Hawthorns. Find your braking point, drop 2 gears, touch the inside curb and flat out. That's now even in the wet. That's what these guys now are going to be attempting to do as they go through Dingledale and Sheen Carve. We're going to arrive up then towards Sterling's then, which is once again another hard on the brakes, drop 2 gears and then get straight back on the power to face towards Clark Curve and then back down the Bradman Straight. Chris Wizzard then our Polish born living in Scotland driver then now, he also took part now in our season 1 of the EVOSimracing GT3 league. Finished now I do believe a strong 4th last season then, so he most certainly then has the experience driving his favourite Ferrari then in the Tifosi. It seems like Dark Ninja now may have that car on rails, but he seems to be getting caught up slowly but surely now by both Chris and Unitrack. We're going to focus down then now towards our second man from Scotland, being Linefoot then now driving the other Ferrari that now seems to be getting a little bit hassled then now by our Flying Dutchman Uba, who has been racing then now with us and a lot here at the team in Evo for quite a significant time through many different organizational changes, etc. He's obviously now hailing from the Netherlands, an absolute gentleman you know, whenever we speak to is always happy now to share his knowledge, and has been more than happy to receive any knowledge that we've been able to give him now so far, as he tries to embark anyway on becoming he's most certainly going to be being competitive, but possibly moving up now towards further mid back anyway in the weeks to come. Towards the back now I do believe that now poor champ, our American driver, missed the start, and there may possibly now be some form of issue now, because we did, unfortunately, with the way the server set up now, we missed it now, but with the full formation lap, I believe champ now started a lap down already. So and was that an Aston Martin of Dark Ninja that we've seen? Oh yes, it absolutely was. There appears to have been something happening there now, where he has dropped from 5th, I believe. We're have to wait then for the time executives to come out, but I believe he's going to be behind Uber. Oh no, he won't be. He's going to drop to 8th. It's a bit of a fall from grace from now. He seems to have had a bit of an issue coming through the paddock bend, being turn 1, the infamous slopes turn 1 that we do have. It doesn't appear to be any damage there now on the car so far. There's going to be hassles to left by Champ, who will be hoping to try and gain a lap back on the that he seems to have lost at the start. But we're certainly hoping that Cole that can find a bit of pace now to try and catch up then towards the back end. As we have the camera pan around, we're going to focus back now on Mr. Silverstone. Ooh, as we have Chris Pizzuk, who went slightly off track, and now is going to be hassled by Uniclark and NRP as they almost go 3 wide. Who's going to get better of that? NRP pulls an absolute amazing move there on the outside as Uniclark drops right back to him on the outside. Lexus, Nicky has to get the inside line. He's going to take that hit. Oh, but Uniclark has not given up. That Lexus now is showing a fine turn of pace now to actually get back past the Nissan now once again as they come through Paddock Bend. Nicky gets a little bit wide and going through the end. They're all a little bit squirrely there now as they come straight up through the Druids. They all sense Chris's slight mistake. He went offline, and they all just attempted to pounce around on. Chris can be looking at to obviously get back. He knows around, make sure that his tyres are all okay. As Unitark seems to be gaining strides now. Unitark is a man on an absolute mission, trying to get back up the field. He has done very, very well there now so far. Now we are going to focus back up then towards the top of the grid, and we have got our top 2 drivers. And once again, Mr. Germany, Thorsten Borchardt himself, another man on an absolute redemption plan, came P2 in Silverstone last week. Needs to make a statement there now by taking pole position and needs to take a win. This is not being made easy now by J.R. Lock and Load now, who has just managed to get this Mercedes AMG absolutely singing. And I must say that now we do have Lightblade, Mr. Bobby there now, absolutely roping both of them there back in, all top 3 separated by just 4 seconds. A bit further back to now, and as unfortunately predicted, then now the Lamborghini doesn't seem to favour the wet conditions. He has fallen now 10 seconds back to now off of Lightblade, being about 14 seconds off the leader. Thorsten hasn't been able to get away from JR as much as he would like. Yes, the gap has opened up by about half a second now to 2.3 seconds total. Lightblade once again actually roping the Mercedes back in now with 1.9 seconds upon the after sector 2. We're going to find out now what sort of time split now is going to be as they cross the line again and head towards the first corner. It is down to 1.2 seconds as we do have a Aston Martin of Dark Ninja coming out of the pits already now. So Dark Ninja now is the first man to blink now and actually take his mandatory pit stop. Now going to move back up now once again now towards this battle now between, well, this impending battle almost now between JR and Lightblade. Now Lightblade almost appears to be able to pull in almost half a second a sector, so 1.5 seconds a lap, although it seems to have just only gone down very, very slightly there now. Thorsten seems to be pulling away from JR ever so slightly, and Lightblade is just pulling up on JR too. Aussie Wheels is just hanging in there now, very, very, very much so now by himself. Uniclark actually managed there to get past Chris Pizzuk. Now I do apologize, now we do seem to have missed that overtake, but he seems to be well in front of him there now, back into the top 5. Is 14 seconds behind the Lamborghini of of Aussie Wheels, so that could be one then now too. Ooh, as Aussie Wheels in the Lambo gets a little bit squirrely then now, just as we pan the camera over to him. So that could be a battle then now that could form up to an RC car. Absolutely rapid pace, they're shooting straight through. Another close battle then that we have at the moment is the one between our, I'm going to call him a Scotsman, Chris Pizuk and Mr. Silverstone himself to now being NRP. It is Italy versus Japan, the Tifosi versus Nismo. It is two cars now that I personally now have actually driven before on, two cars that I would definitely now consider very, very, very competitive. It does seem to have that V6 Nissan now absolutely on rails. These are very slippery, wet conditions. Temperatures now of about 20 degrees air temperature, so warm. It also could make it greasy now in the future with a track temperature of 24 degrees. Weather forecast for the next 10 minutes anyway, at the very least is saying also rain, and just more rain. As once again now, I do apologise now, I seem to have missed every overtake now in this race so far. Light Blade has got past JR Lock and Load. It was either one thing, Bobby then was just closing. JR may have just lost a bit of pace, but it's all happened. It's all happened there now. Light Blade has got the move done. He has moved to P2 and he has got his eyes set on another Bentley, as Torsten Walker actually manages to clear the back marker there now of All Right Turkish in the Honda, who we're actually just going to focus on now very, very quickly. He does seem to be struggling now with the mid-engine power now at the moment. There now he's going to come up now to a couple of back markers. Yellow, my apologies, blue flags are going to be shown, and he will have 2 to 3 corners now to obviously move out of the way as they all come up to the hard braking to the Druids. He very, very graciously now gets backs off the throttle, lets both Light Blade and JR through. That's absolutely now outstanding fair driving now. We do greatly appreciate here. That's what Evo is all about. We are mainly here for fun, but we also do understand that when competition calls, we will most certainly abide by the rules. Going to go back now to the Chris Pizuk and NRP battle there at the moment, whilst also keeping a very keen eye on the gaps there between Thorsten and Light Blade. Also going to keep a keen eye on the gaps there between Aussie Wheels and Uni Clark. So NRP, as he gets very, 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 very wide now just after coming down towards the second sector. He is going to have to, he seems to have fallen back to that quite a bit now. They were within a second of each other. It's just fallen back now to about 2 seconds. It looks like now that he may have had a bit of a visit now with a roll. There appears to be a small amount of damage now showing on the surface of his car. What we're actually going to do there now is we're going to once again focus back now on our Scotsman, their alliance, who appears to be having a bit of a lonely race at the moment. Seems to be roughly about 13 seconds behind NRP in the Nissan and about 12 seconds ahead of Uber in the Mercedes. We actually do have him now in the party chat with us, and now we're going to get a quick word if that's alright. Linesfoot, how would you describe the weather conditions out on track at the moment? Are they slippery? Are they greasy?
It's not too bad considering how much rain's on the track. Quite a lot of grip actually.
Quite a lot of grip. That's actually quite surprising, because we have seen a couple of cars now just look like they're completely on rails. You seem to be having a bit of a lonely race at the moment, kind of stuck between similar distances between the two cars. Have you got a bit more pace to come in the next 80 minutes or so?
Yeah, just take it steady, try and keep it on the track. Don't push too hard and make mistakes.
Absolutely. Be in it for the long run then now, and let the rest of them then make the mistakes. That's absolutely perfect. Right. Yeah. With that Linesfoot then now, we will certainly pop back to you then now in the future, as he actually then now call a commentator's curse, if you will, does just take a little detour now into the gravel trap now, but doesn't appear to have lost too much time there from it, as he just heads back out there towards Druids. We're going to head back up there towards the top of the race at the moment. Just before we just quickly take a look there to see a closest battle then now appears to have teetered off then now ever so slightly. NRP are now going to just try and get the line and get the balance of the car back in check before he goes attacking Chris Pizzuk then now once more. Thorsten Borkart then now and Lightblade then now two very, very good mates also then now, two Bentley drivers then now at the moment. The only two Bentley drivers currently actually on the grid. We do appear to be missing then now quite a few drivers that I see. We've had a couple of very, very late dropouts, which is unfortunate. Which also brings us then now. I am going to paste a link to our Discord in the comments below. If you feel then now that you are a clean and fast racer then now and would love to take part in our 90-minute endurance races, please, we would love to have you then now on our server. We would love for you to sign up. We also run a Porsche Cup on Tuesdays, which consists of 2 20-minute sprint races along with 2 10-minute qualifying sessions. That's on a Tuesday. That kickstarts at 7:30 British summer time. We also run a GT4 class on a Friday. Also kicks off at 7:30 PM British summer time, where that will also consist of 2 qualifying sessions and 2 20-minute sprint races. However, the top 3 from the first sprint race will not qualify for the second race, so that creates some incredible close racing. We were here in Brands Hatch this Friday just gone, and not quite as wet. We certainly had it wet, but we had different race winners and different podium for both races. We had we actually had Thorsten Borkart then who we're going to focus on in a BMW GT4 car take the win in the first race, and we had an Audi R8 then take the win in the second race. So the GT4s in our Porsche Cup are 2 hotly contested series, and we would love you to take part in those as well as these GT3 spaces are going to be limited. They're going to be on a first come first served basis. So if you bear with me for just a moment, I will be able to get that pasted in for you. Now, as the gap now between Thorsten and Lightblade now just closes ever so narrowly now from about 4 seconds to about 3.22. JR has absolutely now had an amazing race now so far. He seems to be keeping a steady pace at the moment now, but the Bentley seem to be in a world of their own. So they just seem to be shooting away now, but I don't think JR I think JR now is still going to have a smile ear to ear on his face if he manages to bag a top 3. Our winner from Silverstone last week now, Aussie Wheels, once again was unfortunately now probably premeditated to us at the start now that the Lamborghini may struggle in the wet. He had a phenomenal race now. It was last week. Unfortunately now we were unable to broadcast that, but he took the win anyway, and he also took the pole position last week in the dry conditions. But the car then just does not seem to go well with the wet tyres at the moment. not far behind now. We do have Uni Clark now in the Lexus now. He has been pulling amazing pace now, but just doesn't seem to be closing the gap now to Aussie Wheels as originally thought. Now he very well could have spent a lot of energy now at the moment trying to get back up through the field, and could just be pacing himself out there now to play the long run, of course, in our round of pit stops. Behind that then we do have Chris Pizzuk now in the Ferrari, who seems to have actually developed a bit of a handsome gap there to NRP behind. Chris also looks like he's been in the wars a bit there now. seems to have a little bit of damage there now on the left hand side of his car, as he's going to come up with the back marker of Alright Turkish, who is going to be showing the blue flags now, and I'm sure we're going to be able to move out of the way very shortly. The aforementioned NRP, Mr. Silverstone himself, that Nissan now most definitely it does look like it has been in a war or two. I can only assume now that he's just going to be floating back now ever so slightly, just pacing himself now, and hopefully he can gain a few more positions on the round of pit stops. Straight behind then now, after starting I believe in P11, he's managed to up himself to P8, is Lionsfoot now, the man that we've spoken to now very slightly. He said that for the amount of rain that's there seems to be a surprising amount of grip. Let's hope now that they can all keep the tyres in one piece. There is a mandatory pit stop in this race. They are not required to change tyres, but they most certainly can if they so wish to. Behind that then we do have Uber, who is going to be a back marker then now for leader Thorsten Borkart then now in the next couple of corners. He too then is going to be driving the Mercedes AMG. He's getting to grips with it then now, and he seems to be putting in very solid lap times then now. Currently running about 14 seconds then now behind Lionsfoot then now at the moment, but it seems to anyway that'll be holding his own. Thorsten now is going to be right up his chuff, and the blue flags are going to be waved, and he will have to get out of his way now very shortly. So let's just see that now if he move out of the way, and Thorsten now will manage to get by him. Uber then now goes wide now to let him through, although now that may have cost him then now a small bit of time, as Lightblade now is now only 2.3 seconds behind after going through the first sector marker. So there's certainly then now a gap closing now between first and between second, the two Bentley drivers. We're going to go down even further now. We have got Cole, our man from the south of England, as he gets very squirrely going around roads. Those are some very high curves now that you don't want to be touching too often. He's of course there driving the V8 Aston Martin, who seemed to have got an absolutely flying start. Goes up there now at 2P5 at the moment now, but we did see him get a little bit wrong now going around turn 1, and we've seen him sideways now as we were following our leader Thorsten Borkart at that time. So yeah, he's the only driver so far now, I believe, to have come into the pits. So he, I suppose, technically would be ahead of a couple of drivers now in that stage. So we can only hope now that was obviously the only stop now that he had to make, that he's fueled up now for the next hour and 2 minutes of this race to go. We are coming up now to the 1/3 mark of this race. I can show you now that all 12 of these drivers now are going to be sick and tired of the rain so far. Going one bit further down the now is once again the camera that pans around. We do of course have Alright Turkish now in the green, pink and black Honda NSX. Very last minute car change now, as Alright Turkish now, a bit of a funny story, seems to have had a bit of a fight now with the Porsche UK team, as when he arrived at the track in Silverstone, they had forgotten to give him their GT3 car. Unfortunately, Alright Turkish now had to actually take part in the entire race in a cup car, and ended up a couple of laps down, I believe. Now he was so furious he tore up the contract in front of him. Honda then approached him, and once again it was a very last minute, but at least Honda managed to deliver the right car to Kent. So yeah, he's done absolutely well this time. He's in the right car. He seems to be a lot more competitive anyway now than he was last week. Just right now trying to keep the car in one piece. Beautiful looking car as well. Actually, I am a big fan of the Hondas. Right then, unfortunately at the pecking order, I believe just due to not getting ready there now in time, the Ferrari team may have let our American Wonder Kid champ down. Essentially, when the final warning came out then for all drivers to as if I believe I've caught that correctly. So I'm just going to figure out what seems to have happened there now. We appear to have some form of issue or glitch there now with Champ. He could be something there to possibly do with the connection. Oh well, he's certainly back there now. I think he just went completely wild going into that corner, locked it up. Which is kind of going back then to obviously the story then now beforehand then now. The team then now at the beginning of this race now weren't essentially had to get all of the engine covers and all of the bits now finished on his car. They completely misjudged his time, and the parc fermé rules came into effect, so he had to start from the pit lane just so they could get that car started for him, which unfortunately now will actually leave him then out a lap down, as he seems to just completely locked up the car again and headed straight into the wall now once more. Seems to be another significant amount of damage then now, which just makes the American Wonder kids then now, they go from bad to worse. There appears to be some steering issues then now. Yeah, his day now has certainly now gone from bad to worse. He's going to take it into the pits anyway now to try and get some essential works done now. Doing it in style as well, doing it in backwards. Very clever, classy indeed. Absolutely love that. Now we're going to head back down to the front, as this appears to be one of the this appears to be another hotly contested there now battle going forward. It is Thorsten and Lightblade. Once again, the gap dropping down now just below down to 2 seconds. A very big hello then also to Lee Kendall, being VMX Rider, saying good evening gents, lovely English weather. I see. You'd be damn right with that. Absolutely, it is absolutely raining cats and dogs, but there does appear to be, after having a slight interview now with our Welshman, my apologies, Linesfoot, there does appear to be a fair amount of grip on the track, and actually speaking with them now, and Jalbert Linesfoot now just getting it out of the way now of the two leading drivers. There does appear to be a fair bit of grip, and we can also see it on the track there. There does appear to be a racing line forming there now, where obviously a lot of the rain is going to be dispersed from obviously the grooved wet tyres. I cannot confirm, but I can only assume now that all drivers out there now are on wet tyres there this evening. It certainly seems to be that there's too many puddles there now to even get away there now on the slicks. We're going to focus there now and we'll do about half a lap, 3/4 of a lap with JR Lock and Load. Now he's another absolute resident with ourselves, took part in last year's GT3 championship as well. He is clean, he is fast. Now there's not much more now that you can say that in terms of JR. He's always full of great ideas, fantastic citizens, and he's a huge community member within Evo. We do appreciate everything that he always takes a look. Keep an eye now on JR. We're going to take a little further look back now to a battle that I predicted now not so long ago. I've been trying to keep an eye on so many different things at this stage now, and I'm almost gone back in the eye. Aussie Wheels absolutely forcing that Lambo now to stay in any position whatsoever now. Somehow they're managing to keep some form of competitive lap times going, but he is being chased, he is being hunted by our man Unitar. His name is Lee. He also hails from the UK, and he is driving that Lexus like he absolutely stole it. He is just, I had a feeling that now after dropping back to the pack that now he was just biding his time now just to see if Aussie Wheels now was going to make a mistake, but now he just seems to have opened every tap now within that Lexus big V8 now, and he is absolutely going to go for it now. The gap now, I only believe, was at 0.5, was at half a second. It seems to be just at 8/10 there now. A couple of time screens now aren't necessarily showing up as we speak at the moment. Time screens itself now seem to be a little bit all over the place as we speak. But we certainly hope now that they can all update for us very, very shortly. We're going to jump back then out to the front actually very, very quickly, as Lightblade just seems to be chipping bits of time off of us now after every single lap. Gap now at the start finish line was 1.1 seconds there now, but coming up to Druids now hard on the brakes seems to be much closer than that. Gap in between Ozzy Wheels and Clark is down to half second now as they come down the back straight down towards Clark curve. Clark is going to take a look into it then now. We've currently got two major battles on at the same time. We're going to try and catch both of them now. They're going to go down Brabham straight and side by side. Lightblade is falling back a small bit now, so we're going to go back to Ozzy Wheels and Clark, and they go hard braking now into the first one. We don't want to take a wide line here, which unfortunately Clark now has done. Has to come right off the power then now. Ozzy Wheels is going to jump straight ahead then now as they brake hard then in towards the Druid hairpin now. You want to take a nice wide line, let the car breathe a second, get hard on the power then to head back down the hill towards this very, very tricky now. Left hander then once again going to power down then and head up towards 30s now, which is almost once again another 180-degree left-hand turn as they go right around and then down the long main straight now. So both cars now seem to be equal for pace in a straight line. It most certainly seems. But as that battle now seems to fizzle out a small bit, they're going to shoot straight back now to the battle for the lead, which is down to 4/10 of a second. Lightblade is just on an absolute mission now. Thorsten, he has bided his time, he has raced his race absolutely perfectly. Lightblade has just found this absolute turn of pace, as we do see Chris Willis now. Seems to be a fair amount of damage now on that car, absolutely. So he is going to have to be in there for quite a while. We're going to shoot, as we said, straight back then to the battle for the lead of the race. Two Bentleys, the only two Bentleys now on the track at the moment. Lightblade giving a flash for either for the cameras or to let Thorsten know that he is right there and that he is breathing down his neck. The gap went from 4/10 to 7/10, so either there's a mistake made or Thorsten's pulled out another bit of a gap. Those cars just look absolutely planted going to a faster hander. Really looks squirrely enough from Lightblade, alright, whereas Thorsten is absolutely now on rails. Gap is back down now to 4/10 of a second, but by the eye you would swear it was closer. That was, they are almost flat out then towards that corner, hard on the brakes down to was straight down then as they head towards Clark curve. He's going to try and tuck it behind, get as much slipstream as he can, get harder onto the brakes, take the Clark curve and try and get on the Brabham straight then as close behind as he possibly can to try and have a look in now for turn one. This is absolutely now exhilarating stuff now, and these guys are going to go hammer and tongue now for however long now that they need to. Chris still unfortunately in the pit now must have some pretty severe damage. He's actually just come out of the pit as we speak. Ubar also now opting to take his mandatory pit stop there now. So I believe everyone there now from Dark Ninja down has taken their pit stop. So from first to seventh there now have obviously yet to take their pit stop. We are just coming into 40 minutes in, 51 minutes now left pretty much now of the race. Lightblade now appears to have Thorsten all over now in the first and probably, well, in the second and third sectors. Thorsten just manages to pull out a half a second on Lightblade now somewhere in the first sector. Now we're going to have a back marker now coming up very, very shortly of the Aston Martin now of Dark Ninja. I'm going to give a fair warning here now that we may not want him to be holding up these guys now as Lightblade now just seems to be taking a much more aggressive line going through the back part of the track now, taking a much more aggressive line and they're heading down towards us. They almost go side by side. They are bumper to bumper almost as we speak. You couldn't park anything. They were going there going through Brabham straight now. catching the Aston Martin ferociously fast now, so we better hope now that he won't be in the way for too long as they go through turn 1, both taking a super tight line, both didn't even lose a single cent of traction to Ninja in the Aston Martin. Well done, mate. You got perfectly out of the way. That is absolutely down. Once again, exemplary driving. That is certainly all that we can ask for. Okay. Just as this battle rages on, we're going to quickly shoot back then to Unidark and Aussie Wheels. So we've got Bentley versus Bentley, but we've also got Lamborghini versus Lexus. We're going to shoot back very quickly, just go down through the order. We've got NRP now in a comfortable 6th place. About 28 seconds now behind Uniclark. Then at the moment we're for a comfortable distance ahead of Lionsfoot there now, who is only coming now through the first sector there now. We're going to head back now obviously to the main battle now, being Bentley versus Bentley. Once again, Lightblade just catches him up and gets right on the bumper of it ultimately in the final few sectors, but in the first few sectors Thorsten just has the line. He just managed to find everything. It's just been absolutely exemplary driving. We seem to have another bit of a battle then come down towards the end. We had actually Ubar and All Right Turkish. We've seen Ubar on the grass, and now All Right Turkish now is most certainly going to take that place and say thank you very much indeed, and try to ride off into the sunset. We'll try and keep an eye on that as best we can. As Lightblade being first, Lightblade is going to take the option now and head into the pits. He's going to attempt the undercut. This is Thorsten's time now to absolutely get the hammer down and now take a lap or two, and possibly Lightblade maybe possibly they're now forcing Thorsten into a pit stop earlier than now. That was originally on his strategy. JR now is most certainly now going to take P2 back now with another smile now ear to ear. He's going to be looking forward there towards that. Aussie Wheels a good bit further back than now again. He's also got Uniclark for company. 1.7 seconds the gap there now. Uniclark once again could just be biding his time there now, or Aussie Wheels could have just absolutely not found some more grip. Lightblade still in the pits now. We can't currently tell now if he's going to be taking a change of tyres. He certainly seems to be taking some fuel. Uniclark pits. So we essentially have got Lightblade Bobby now in the Bentley attempting the undercut. We now have got Uniclark also going to be attempting the undercut on Aussie Wheels. Aussie Wheels hitting a little bit of traffic now with Ubar and All Right Turkish now. They're also in a bit of a battle now, so that's going to be an awkward one to try and get out of the way of. We're going to focus now with Mr. Silverstone into NRP. He has just seemed to have just bided his time, raced his race, took a couple of the hits and bangs here and there, but he just seems to be just plucking away with that. Thorsten pits straight away. This is going to be absolutely crucial, alright? This can all alter on strategy, just this can alter on everything else. I believe Lightblade now managed to force Thorsten into an earlier pit stop than he would have been comfortable with. JR Lockenode is going to inherit the lead for now, albeit that now it is going to be a temporary lead until all the pit stops are completed. Thorsten is currently stopping, and we do have Lightblade coming through the final sector there now as he comes to the second to last turn. This could be close enough to now. There doesn't seem to be any movement there now from Thorsten as of yet. Lightblade heading then out towards Clark Curve. Thorsten not moving then as of yet. This is going to get very, 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 very close now. He's coming around Clark Curve. Thorsten still hasn't moved. He's moving now. Lightblade is just coming down the main straight. This is going to be very, very close indeed. And Lightblade, oh my days, he gets the lead. What an absolute exemplary piece of strategy there that was. Lightblade gets Thorsten on the pit stops. What an absolute masterclass that was from the Orange Bentley team. There's going to be some fist bumps tonight. Ooh, he gets very, 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 very square coming out of there now. Thorsten now has a target to face though, okay? This is where now Thorsten, I actually believe now he is an exemplary driver that now his only aim now is to be first. But every time I've seen him see the target in front of him and he sees what he has to do, he just goes into the zone and he can focus and he will absolutely drive the socks off that car. Alright Turkish now in the Honda. Well done once again, exemplary driving. Buddy, my friend, thanks very much. Getting well out of the way of this very, very close battle now. Light Blade actually managed to clear it by 1.8 seconds. It's absolutely amazing stuff. And Light Blade only seems to be 8 seconds behind Aussie Wheels, who just kind of shows that there's almost a pit stop between the pace so far, whereas Aussie Wheels just seem to have everything
You're halfway through it, keep pushing.
We have just hit the halfway mark folks, right? We have completed 45 minutes. We have 45 more to go. Dark Ninja, I believe, is in for the second time into the pits, which we can only assume now is for damage or for extra fuel now that may have been forgotten now by the Aston Martin team previously. I'm going to focus now with a race leader, granted a temporary race leader now, but a race leader nonetheless. JR Lockwood is going to be framing that P1 beside his name now for a God knows how long. He's a very, very proud man, has got a family there now and everything, and the fact now that he loves getting time now to practice, and he dedicates time for us now to come racing. It's just absolutely exemplary work. We appear to have lost a driver. Just trying to find out where we seem to have lost. We appear to have lost Dark Ninja in the Aston Martin, so we can only assume now that the second pit stop there now was due to some form of mechanical failure, as we see NRP getting very, very wide there now around the middle sector there now, which is very, but however for our man in the Aston Martin, that is very, very unfortunate there now, and we will certainly hope to get a update after the race obviously then completes. We have got another man into the pits, so we have got Lance and Scotty then taking his pit stop. Where is Chris? Because Chris Gillick is going to be his nearest challenger now as we speak. Chris seems to be going around the middle sector now at the moment, so Scotty, I appear, depending on how much fuel or tyres that he takes, this could be a pretty safe pit stop there for him so far. We're going to shoot straight back. Oh my days, we just caught we just caught Thorsten and Lightblade going side by side. Lightblade almost in a drift, believe it or not, now going around Druids, and Thorsten just looked like he took the inside line, said thank you very much, I don't need any further invitation from you, I am more than happy now to return this. So it seems to be after the glories of the pit stop, either small than a contact or a mistake by Lightblade has put him back to square one. Looking at the back of that Bentley there now, it's essentially that overtake now by Thorsten on Lightblade is going to be for the overall lead. We do have the provisional leader, of course, at the moment being JR, who I believe just got past the back marker there of Aura Turkish there once again. Ooh, have we had an issue further down the line? We have. Oh no, sorry, my apologies. Unitar pitted. Sorry, that's where I was getting confused. We actually do have, as we just focus back to him there now, and absolutely hooning that Nissan there now around the right hander. We do have Lee Kendall once again now cheering on there now. We have got a fan for Mr. Silverstone. He's saying on the YouTube channel there now, come on NRP, time to stop sandbagging, lol. I'm pretty sure now that if there's any sand in the boot of that Nissan, it would be well gone now by this stage. Nicky is going to have a smile on his face now as we speak, and he's just going to absolutely get on with it now. He's going to, the lighter and lighter that car gets on fuel, in my own experience, the better and better that gets. So the deeper we go into this race, the better Nicky is going to get into this. We did also get a slight update now on Dark Ninja in the Aston Martin team. It does appear to be now that there was a retirement due to driver injury, I believe, going around one of the corners. Dark Ninja's shoulder appears to have given up on him there now, and it just turned out to be too agonizing now to continue to race. So we do wish Dark Ninja all the best now in a speedy recovery, and we hope to see him at Suzuka next week. So we're going to do 90 minutes Suzuka. We've got a Honda pulled in there off the side, going around the side. I can only wonder now where or why that would be the case. Alright Turkish, we hope it hasn't run out of fuel anyway, that's for sure. We've just seen Linesfoot kind of go through once again, happily they're keeping 7th place now. So it seems to be comfortably ahead of Chris, who has just suddenly hasn't managed to find the same level of grip as he has beforehand. However, those two Ferrari drivers are just going to try and go hammer and tongue the whole way. Now we are going to focus once again back towards what will be the overall lead of this race, Thorsten and Lightblade. Thorsten, after this pit stop now, seems to have found a second wind, and it seems to have pulled about a 2-second lead on Lightblade after initially missing out on the pit stops. We do have, of course, JR like I know the provisional leader is now coming in there to take his pit stop. So that is going to promote, albeit he is a favourite behind that, is going to promote Aussie Wheels into the lead into the temporary lead of the race for now. JR is just going to find his pit box. Doesn't appear to be any interest whatsoever, so that seems to be a good stop for him so far. So as Aussie Wheels is going to come around towards Clark Curve, JR Loconoda is in the pits. We do have Thorsten now, actually very only 5 seconds behind the Aussie Wheels, so he's going to inherit the lead very quickly, I can only assume. JR actually very short pit stop. It was a very good pit stop now by Mercedes AMG team. He is, by God, he's actually come out ahead of Lightblade. What an absolutely amazing stop by Mercedes and JR Loconoda. He's essentially got himself promoted into overall P2 of this race after Aussie Wheels will eventually take his pit stop. That is absolutely astounding stuff and the Mercedes team can only be very so that Lightblade almost taking that Bentley as a drift car, going around the car. They're getting very sideways now, but I can only assume now Lightblade has got a competitive side and very much so a fun side. He would be torn between the two there, absolutely, but I'm sure that he would be able to crack a smile towards that. Now, as the camera follows once again also an Evo livery car now, so we're 2 Evo livery cars. We obviously got Linesfoot now, our league coordinator now for obviously this ACC GT3 league and all of our ACC leagues that we run as well. As before mentioned, we do run 3 leagues on an ACC. We run a Porsche Cup on a Tuesday. We run a GT4 league as they were recently released on a Friday. That seems to be a very fun and competitive close racing league. And then we obviously run the flagship, the GT3 league, on a Sunday. Uber, I believe, has come in for the pits. Oh, he seems to have a couple of loose bonnet clips now. We hope now that is mechanics and engineers don't have that much work to do. Alright, Turkish now, guys, in the Honda now just appears to have pulled over now with either a mechanical failure. He doesn't appear to have put in fuel. That is a real shame for 4 guys though. We do hope that this won't off-put him now, and he'll be able to come back much stronger. Now, this is going to be a battle now. Oh, as JR gets very wide and going around the side, Lightblade is going to look through and say thank you very much indeed. Flash of lights from JR, so I can only assume, I hope now that everything seems to have been alright now, obviously with the overtake. Just going to take a look now a little bit further forward now. Aussie Wheels, he's gone 34 laps now. Oh, Aussie Wheels is facing the wrong way. We just seem to have caught that now at the perfect, but it was the perfect time. He waits now at the road perfectly, just seeing all the traffic coming through. We did have to put a shout out to them before that, as it is obviously very wet now. People are going to have a couple of spins. We do highly appreciate that's exemplary driving now from Aussie Wheels waiting now. Obviously not joining straight onto the track straight away, as that would obviously cause a rather large accident. But I'm going to focus back now on essentially the overall P2 and P3 battle now. Lightblade seems to have gone back after after that phenomenal pit stop there now where Jamie Loughlin muster pullbacks easily 25 to 30 seconds on the two penalties. Almost stayed ahead there now of Thorsten in the overall rankings. That's how good that pit stop was. Now the two penalties may have changed tyres also now, but JR seems to be confident in a way with the set and the damage that he has, that he can keep on going. Ozzy Wheels has now taken his pit stop then now, to be fair. We can see that coming. NRP is going to jump into 4th place. I'm actually not entirely sure now if he has taken his mandatory pit stop then as of yet, but he will also be looking at P4 in his first GT3 race now in the EVOSimracing GT3 league, and he will be very, very happy now with the number 4 beside his name. Now, a battle that we had happening there now before all of the pit stops was Ozzy Wheels versus Uni Clark. Now, after Ozzy Wheels' pit stop, there does appear to be a rather large gap there now coming towards it. Now they were much closer than before the pit stop, so the gap seems to be about 17 seconds there now. We do have Zubar now still actually in the pits there now. There must be some serious work now going ahead there now on that car. We hope anyway now that he can head back out now and into the race. So yeah, we certainly hope that he can absolutely continue. What we are going to do now is we're going to certainly keep showing the stream. I'm just going to take a small break there from my end just so I can just go grab a drink. So please enjoy it. Anyway, the next 5 minutes we're going to focus on our race leader and the close battle there so far. So this is going to be a 1 or 2 anyway full laps of Brands Hatch now with our German driver there now, and man who seems to have been on top all race so far, and that is Mr. Thorsten Borkert. Please bear with me 2 moments, please bear with us, I'll be back in about 45 minutes. Thank you. Cheers. thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being so patient with us twice we get some water down my throat. I know in half that it was an awful long time to be commentating for. That being said, we are over the hour mark through. We are currently 27 minutes. 27 minutes are left to go. Currently, we got Thorsten now on after doing 40 laps non-stop in the pelting rain, which is no sign of that letting up now. We were focused on Thorsten during that brief intermission. We've now focused on Lightblade now. I do believe Lightblade and JR now got very, very close indeed. JR definitely keeping up with Lightblade much more, but just to focus on Thorsten. Since that pit stop he has been a man on a mission, from having Lightblade all over him to developing almost an 8-second gap out the front. Now, we've had no official word on Uber It does appear to be that Mercedes have had to retire the car at the moment. We've also had word on Allright Turkish who is thankfully parked in a very, very safe spot indeed. He essentially went for the pit stop but his time with teams just seems to be getting worse and worse. He had the issue obviously with Porsche UK last week where they brought the wrong car. He's having an issue with his Honda team at the moment. He stopped for a pit stop and requested fuel. They never put the fuel in, so he attempted to do one more lap to try and get around, but just ran out of fuel. Thankfully he's parked in a safe spot so the marshals can continue that, waving that green flag out indeed, as we just see Thorsten racing down that very, very tricky fast right-hander. Now, a race between the two Ferraris. Chris, as I said, after his quite lengthy pit stop seems to have found the pace again, and is only 3 seconds behind our Welshman Linesfoot again, who we're going to try and get a very, very quick word with once again. Scotty, are you there, buddy?
Yes, mate.
Absolutely, man. 1 hour and 5 minutes into the race. How do you feel your strategy has played out so far?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. You're about to come under a bit of pressure from your Ferrari teammate now. Are you hoping to try and hold on to P7?
Well, I'll make it as hard for him to get past as possible.
Yeah. That's exactly as we like to see, as Chris just tries to go for a small dive on the inside. We are going to leave Scotty obviously focus on his race and we'll try and get back to him before obviously the race comes to an end. So that seems to be the closest battle that we do have at the moment. Marshall's waving green flags. They're actually going side by side. They're now going actually back down or back straight. This is going to be an absolutely tense battle. Who will blink first? It seems to be that Linesfoot has blinked first. Chris Bitter makes an audacious move goes around the outside. Linesfoot gets a little bit onto the grass again, but I'm pretty sure Linesfoot won't be wanting to leave that go easy. He's going to try and find his rhythm and get back into it but Chris seems to be an absolute man on aim. Maybe we shouldn't go to Linesfoot too often. The commentator's curse seems to be following him too much. But he's just going to try and get back to his rhythm as much as we can, and close the gap back up to Chris Pizik who made a very, 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 very brave move around the outside. Now, a battle that I may have missed during the intermission, and it was a battle that there was a huge gap to not so long ago. But Unicat appears to have gotten past Aussie Wheels and up into P5. That's an absolute amazing feat. After the pit stops I do believe Unicat was almost 16-17 seconds behind Aussie Wheels at that point. Unicat, after unfortunately having some form of issue or some form of sprint almost at the beginning of the race, has just managed to roar himself back up to a very respectable P5. So he is going to be hoping that he can try and get onto the back of NRP in the next 22 minutes or so. He's currently 18 seconds behind, but as we've seen, he can easily close that gap up as he has done with Aussie Wheels. For Aussie Wheels our American driver he just seems to be having a tough time with he has had a spin or two so far. He's just fighting that Lamborghini around every turn so far. I'm pretty sure for the next 6 races so he's going to be praying that there is no rain. We are heading to Suzuka all of next week. Taking a quick look at the weather forecast, it does seem to be looking at a dry race now, so Aussie Wheels now could be looking now to make up any form of lost points that he may lose at the moment. The current standings at the moment would be Aussie Wheels in first place in the championship, taking on a maximum 36 points, with Thorsten Borgart he took P2 instead of stuff. He's currently on 30 points. As it currently stands, Thorsten is going to romp into the lead of the championship. So Aussie Wheels is most certainly going to try and salvage what he can from this race. Hopefully try and bring a bit of a fight back to Unica to try and reclaim P5. But I believe will have a lot of his focus mainly set down towards Suzuka and the long flight from the UK to Japan next week. Seems to be within eyesight of Uniclair. The whole time. If you just match the pace and hope that Uniclair could possibly make another mistake in the next few laps or so. We're going to focus then on our top three for the next few months. Then, alright, we're going to start in third place now. JR Lock and Load. As I said, I thought Late Blade's pit strategy was perfect when he managed to pick off Thorsten on his pit stop, but JR now managed to pull. As I said, it must easily have been 20 to 25 seconds on the leaders at the time to actually put himself back into P2. Seems to have had an immediate speed rush now, but just seems to be falling back ever so slightly, but keeping a very, very, very consistent pace. He was right up the chuff of Late Blade not so long ago, but he seems to just falling back down to about 5.5 seconds behind. Late Blade also about 8 seconds behind Thorsten as well. He's going to try and hope that he can put as much focus as he can in for these next 20 minutes. Hoping that perhaps Thorsten may make a mistake, but in my experience and everyone's experience here at EVOSimracing, Thorsten will very, very rarely make a mistake. He would also be my Mr. Consistency here. He just has the line learned. He just knows exactly where to place his car, no matter what the weather, no matter what the track. He is almost an absolute machine. He will very, very, very rarely divert it from his line as he's going to come up to Mr. Chris Pisup shortly enough. But he just has his car and his setup dials down to an absolute T. So we will certainly keep an eye on the gap. The gap just seems to be getting larger and larger between Thorsten and Late Blade, just a hair off of 9 seconds at the moment. So it certainly seems, once again, we've seen now from our husband Linesfoot, and I'm starting to want to put the commentator's curse on it at the moment, but he seems to be in a very good position and good state to take his first win of Season 2's GT3 Endurance League. We're going to go back down then to P4 now. A surprise package then, to be completely honest with you, Mr. NRP Nicky. He has actually managed now to pull that Nissan into an absolute superb rhythm there now, and although 40 seconds behind P3 of JR, he'd need an incredible feat now to try and pull that gap anyway closer now, but I can guarantee you now he would be absolutely chuffed if he was able to keep P4. We've got Uniclair then in P5 in the Lexus, about 16 seconds then further down the road. Aussie Wheels in the Lamborghini keeping about 2 seconds to him. I believe being lapped a couple of times now has been Chris Pisup just due to a lengthy pit stop behind that. Behind him we would have Linesfoot. There does seem to be a bit of a gap forming between Chris Pisup and Linesfoot. We did see Chris have a very, very audacious move going around the outside of the fast right-hander on Linesfoot. He has about a 19-second gap so far, so whatever Chris has done in that lengthy pit stop has certainly led to results, and most definitely led to speed back then up to front now, who's Thorsten broadcasting extended the lead to just over 9 seconds now. He's actually either a mistake that was made. Oh, and we see Light Blade now going very, very wide, and I drifted into the gravel trap going into turn 1. I'm pretty sure that we'll have JR, who's actually just seemed to have fallen back now quite a significant bit there now, but we'd have had JR now looking very, very intently at that. I would have loved to have pounced on that small mistake that now made by Light Blade, who just completely seems to have outbraked himself going into turn 1. Got very, very sideways, held it very, very well, but got into the gravel trap. Now that unfortunately is going to leave an 11-second gap there now to himself and Thorsten up front. JR just seemed to have fallen back there as well. He's just coming up now towards Druids there now. If I'm not mistaken, now there does appear to be a bit of damage there now showing on the front of the car. There most certainly is. JR, commentators cursed now, does appear to have haunted a couple of drivers tonight now, but JR definitely does appear to have damage in the front of that car. Nicky, NRP, I had a feeling now that he hadn't made his pit stop now. He's now coming now to make a pit stop. Uni Clark is now going to inherit P4. Ozzy Wheels is now going to inherit P5. NRP, very, very unfortunate now. I had thought now that he's possibly made his pit stop before there's a very, very short stop and go. Doesn't have much damage to fix, thank God. He is going to stay ahead anyway now of Chris. I believe he was a full lap ahead of Chris already at that time, so it almost looks like an P6 could be very, very well, could be very solidly Nicky's, which would also be a great result now around a very, very damp Brands Hatch circuit now. We're going to focus on JR now at this moment now, as he seems to have made a mistake now, which is very, very unlike JR so far. He's had that Mercedes AMG that are almost down to a T so far, and he's managed to keep everything now pretty much now on the straight and narrow. I can only assume now that a Uniclap may be tuning in to the stream and may hear of JR's damage, and may just have his head put down for the next 14.5 minutes or so, just to close that gap which I believe is at it's a 27-second gap at the moment, so it does seem very, very much so insurmountable, but we don't know how many seconds per lap JR is losing because of that front air damage. But now we seem to have lost a couple of bonnet clips in a way at the front. We most certainly hoping that bonnet does not flick back up onto the windshield. That would be the worst possible thing that could happen to JR at this point. He gets a little bit wide then after going on a fast right-hander. That'll disrupt his braking marker now, but he seems to manage to get around fine. He was a little bit twitchy though. Doesn't seem to be in perfect harmony, and he does make a mistake now and goes wide now going around the right hand. Now he's going to once again have a disrupted braking point now, but gets up and the brakes well, and he's going to get straight onto the power again. JR does seem to be fighting the car now very, very badly for the last 2 laps. Let's just hope he can hold on for the next 13.5 minutes now. Ozzy Wheels is keeping up now to Uniclart now. He's over the last, I believe, 10 laps or so now. He's stayed within another 5 seconds, or a lot of it now was spent within 2. Uniclart must have got the drive on there now, and he seems to be kind of putting the boot down alright. He is a favourite up there now so far. It's dropped down to 3.9 seconds now, so it's definitely keeping close enough to now, so obviously Uniclart does make a mistake. Ozzy will be there indeed. Now, let's just focus back to now on the Welshman now, Bobby, in that orange one Union Jack Bentley now made a mistake now going into turn 1. He is going to be kicking himself over that. He is going to try and make up as much time as he can in the final stage of the race. We're going to hold on now and actually watch now it happen with him. He's going to make the same mistake on turn 1 again. Absolutely not. Takes the tight line, barely loses traction now whatsoever, and just keeps the power straight down as he comes straight up towards Jules. Now Jordan is probably very tough corners on the track hard to get a competitive and fast braking point now, and trying to get the car rotated enough to keep enough momentum through the actual corner itself. We're still watching now as it just comes down that main straight there now. We see him now coming through the final sector of the track. His car now most definitely does seem to be set up looser than... Ooh, he gets a little bit off on the gas. His car most definitely does seem to be a little bit looser and more tail happy now towards Portland now, who's very, very much so now does not lose traction whatsoever. Is very, very much so planted. Has got all the correct aero and downforce going. Like I don't know, I know for a fact that now does enjoy driving the looser car now. Oh, and I am sad to report now that we have had JR come in to repair damage on his AMG. He just seems to have been losing so much time now through everything now, and obviously the call is made for Mercedes, saying that he'd have a better chance to salvage a better result if he came in, and it's very, very unfortunate now, as he seems to have had P3 all locked down to himself. But what that does do now is that actually promotes our original Lee Clark in the Lexus into P3, and after the start he has had, he is going to be absolutely ecstatic at that. Once again, a long time racer, always has fantastic ideas to share. He is a super clean but also incredibly fast driver. Nothing but the highest respect now from everyone from that community. He appears to have extended the lead now on Aussie Wheels now to just 5.5, almost close to 6 seconds at the moment, so it does seem to be going further and further. Now, the man most happy now about JR's pit stop is going to be NRP, Mr. Silverton himself. He would have been content with P6. I'm pretty sure he's going to be ecstatic with a P5 in a Nissan now that not many people now have favoured in this game, but this man now most definitely seems to have a dialing code punched in there for this, and he is just... It's a car that I was racing recently enough now in an event in Kyalami in another wet enough race now, and it's something that I could not keep the tyres up to temperature in the rain. But Nicky now, although he goes wide around that corner right now, most definitely has got the grip to continue racing. Along the road it's more about now, but he most certainly now has got the pace now to keep going. Gap between first and second gone to 12.5 seconds. Torsten, as we said now, just since the pit stop now, has not blinked. He won't blink until that timer says 0 and he crosses that finish line and it says P1 beside his name. That's what we are going to be looking for. Late is going to be kicking himself now for the 1 or 2 very, very small and minor mistakes that he's made. He's going to be absolutely kicking himself now. He is going to give everyone in his team a high five for that pit strategy. Ooh, he gets very wide. Overhand zipper on straight now. Hits a couple of puddles now. Gets the traction all around almost now, but he keeps it anyway in one piece, so it's just limit as many mistakes as he possibly can. Another man now who's once again going to be stepping on, but a long way behind him from what we can see is Unica. Once again now, the Lexus now would not be a favourite car now among anyone now almost on the ACC community, but this man now he's a Emile Frey sponsored Swiss team, and you could you tell that also owner of the team anyway is going to have a huge smile on his face. There could be a big bonus in the check in for him today after this race, after securing a podium now with the Lexus Aussie wheels. He has had a great race, in all fairness, in a car now that just does not suit the wet whatsoever. He has managed now to pull a race out from absolutely out of nowhere. He's going to be disappointed, but he's going to be very, very much so. They're looking forward to Suzuka, where the weather forecast is looking dry for now. So it's he'll be definitely there looking for some form of interest going to come back. Lap 54 so far. We are on JR Lock and Load. My heart bleeds for him, to be honest with you now. I don't know now if it's just my commentary is absolutely cursed now, but as I mentioned now that he was just driving his race, keeping on the black stuff now, and the next time I turned to him there was a fine amount of damage now on the front of that car. I hope he can forgive me anyway at some point. But as of now, he's just got Nicky set on his sights. There's easy a half a lap now almost between them. Just under 6 minutes of the race to go now. JR may just have to take P6, take what possibly could have been, and just focus more now on a Suzuka race now that is going to be very, very hotly contested. We are going to Suzuka in all three of our classes this week, so our Porsche Cup is also going to be racing at Suzuka, and so is our GT3 league. If you do want to get involved, I have posted a Discord link into the comments section. Alright, please don't hesitate now to give it a look, take a look around. We will welcome you with the open arms. We will welcome whenever we have staff members listed as a crew chief, and we will get you into whatever championship then you want to compete in. We would be absolutely more than happy to have you. Focus back in the last 5 minutes now on our current race leader. We just want to, we will actually come back to him now just as he comes down to start finish line, because I want to do a full race lap almost with commentary now, riding almost on board with Torx, because that just to see how he manages to take this course now absolutely in his straight, wet race or not. So we'll wait for him now to come up Clark Curve, go down the Bradley straight and cross the start finish line, and we'll start from there. Getting a little bit squirrely, alright, as we go through, but he's now crossing the line now. Coming into turn 1 now, the Paddock Hill bend. Takes a nice early line, and leaves the car release, gets on the power early, takes the left down as it goes up Halewoods Hill into Druids. Hard on the brakes, down into second gear, light on the throttle, coming down through straight down to the Green Hill bend, which is a sharp left-hand hill you always have to go back down to second gear for. Into the Cooper straight up the gears, back down hard on the brakes into Surtees, which is just a long sweeping left-hander now that leads straight into the Pilgrims drop straight, which is the fastest part of the track, and of course leads to arguably the most difficult corner then on the track, which would be Hawthorns now, where you drop a couple of gears, take an early line and just slam hard, going through Dingledale then, which is a couple of fast right-handers again, as they then come up to Sheen Curve, which is another fast right-hander then now. That's also very, very hard to perfect rather. It's going to go hard on the brakes once again, take a left into Sterling's, and then straight up down through Tierways, leads once again facing Clark Curve. take it in about third gear now, I'd say. Once again, turning early, get lightly back onto the power early, and that will complete a full lap there now with our race leader. Now, during all that, as you can just see, as he just exited out the map, NIP had to take a second pit stop, which I am quite surprised about. Now, there must have been some form of miscalculation with the Nissan team in terms of fuel. There didn't appear to be any damage on his car the last time we flipped to him now, but that is going to make one man a little bit happier anyway, at least trying to make the best of a bad situation. That is once again going to be Mr. J Lock and Load. Instead of accepting P6, he can now accept a P5, get those couple of extra points, and still take that heartache and anguish to Suzuka to drive on further. Now, gap, we'll follow down a light blade, and once again, just as we come up to the final minutes, and it's probably going to be what is the final 2 laps of this race. It's been an absolute crackerjack of a race so far. We can only thank everyone for obviously watching it, and all the races that are currently who've taken part. We were expecting a much more full grid for that. Now we do fully apologise. We've had 2 timers so far. We have had our American driver now, Champ.
Okay, the leader is on the final lap now. Give it all you can.
Due to a mechanical issue now, where Ferrari had to essentially take the car, throw back onto the truck, and investigate that. We then also had a driver injury, and also happened with Dark Ninja, our young driver from the south of England in Southampton. He took a bad bump there going through Sheen curve over the curve and damaged his shoulder in the Aston Martin, so had to retire now just due to that being completely undrivable and too painful. We then also had all our surface now. We still parked in that very safe position, thank God. He unfortunately has had another bit of a disagreement with whatever team he's in. Had a disagreement with Porsche last week, bringing the wrong car, and Honda not filling up his petrol whatsoever. Uber and Mercedes had to retire the car for an as of yet unknown reason. We'll try and find out so far. But as Thorsten comes up and faces track curves now for the final time, he has got his Aussie wheels has been shown the blue flags as he makes way for it. Thorsten Borkar comes around the final curve, and after not having it all his own way, after the pit stops, he's just managed to find something different, and he crosses the line and takes the win. What an absolutely stunning win from our German driver, and he blows us all away now each and every week now with every race he does. Teleports straight back down to the pit stop to celebrate now with his team. Light Blade Bobby will take P2. He can probably think to himself what could have been, but in the end now may have just been outpaced in the end. Gonna come over the line shortly enough now is Unique Clark. He is a fair bit behind him so far. A couple of the races so far have already crossed the line. We have had Nicky cross the lane. NRP he has confirmed 6th position. We've had Chris Pizza cross the lane. He has confirmed 7th position. They were all 2 laps down so far. We've also had Linesfoot cross the line. He has confirmed 8th position. The ones racing at the moment now is still Uniclark, and JR Lock and Load is just about to come around the main straight and across the lane, and that is going to lock in P5 for him. He can only then be happy enough with that after the race that he's had. Uniclark now coming around Clark Curve at the end there. I can most certainly say coming around the final bend, and this is going to round off the podium now. And to be honest, with the start of the race Uniclark has had, that is going to be a phenomenal result for him in the end, which you can only be happy about. We are going to have a bit of a show now towards the end with Light Blade kicking some drifts, probably some drifts of frustration, but certainly some drifts anyway, that's for sure, and it's some good, and that's great to see. Just to round off then out the finishing order for you again. German driver Thorsten Borkart now takes the win. Didn't have it all his own way, but most certainly now takes the win with a great style. I played Bobby now is going to take P2. He's going to think now what could have been after his Benzie side of the garage got his pit stop strategy absolutely perfect. And then in P3 we're going to have Uni Clark in the Lexus, who's going to be very, very proud indeed. Fourth is going to be Aussie Wheels, who's going to be looking forward towards Suzuka. Fifth is going to be JR Lock and Load after unfortunately receiving some damage. Sixth is going to be NRP Nicky in the Nissan, which is a great showing for them. Seventh is going to be Chris Pisak. Eighth, Linesfoot Scotty. Ninth and 10th is going to be Urubar and All Right Turkish, although they may not now be able to qualify for the points due to retiring almost halfway down through the race, but that will certainly be looked at now by the stewards. Listen, from everyone here now, from the Evolution Sim Racing team and from myself, Evan IRL, thanks so much now for tuning in with us. We've appreciated now each and every view and every comment now that we've had so far from Lee Kendall. I see it, everybody. Thank you very much now for the compliment. This commentary is all new to ourselves, but we are loving the racing and may hope to see you possibly racing now with us next week. But as I said, guys, from everyone from the Evolution Sim Racing staff team and everyone and everyone the racers, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week in Japan for Suzuka. Take care, folks. Bye bye now.